talk to us more on this story, I'm joined by Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman, who's the founder of A Gift of the Givers. Dr. Sooliman, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. Quite a very sad day as we are seeing those stranded passengers, many of them children, some of those families saying that they've been on that plane for 12 hours without any food, without any supplies, but are grateful to the South African government for them having allowed them entry. I know that Gift of the Givers was at the helm of ensuring that this access has been given.
Yeah, good evening, Katlefo. It's been actually very disappointing, to be honest. You know, to keep people, children who've come from a genocide perpetrated by Israel, a real terrorist state, you know, to cause that kind of harm to people, put them on a plane, ethnically cleansing them from the country, sending them on a chartered plane to South Africa. And in South Africa itself, you would expect compassion. That's the type of people we are, Ubuntu spirit. You make women and children wait in a plane without air conditions, but one door only open for 13 hours. It's illogical what has happened. Somebody's head's got to roll, and the Department of Home Affairs should be called in by the president to give an explanation. Because as we're speaking now, our reputation is tainted worldwide. A country that took Israel to the ICJ and ICC, that organized people, 32 countries in Bogota, to put sanctions against Israel, is now sort of blamed for stopping Palestinians to come to the country. And yet, this is not the country policy. This is Home Affairs playing games with the people of Palestine, and they need to be called to account for this.
So the BMA has released a statement, and I'll paraphrase certain paragraphs. At one point, they speak that during the standard interview process, the BMA officers, the group did not indicate their duration of stay in the country. The travelers also did not have the customary departure stamps in their passports. Following this failure to pass the immigration test, and given that none of the travelers expressed an intention to apply for asylum, they were then eventually denied entry. Would you say the BMA was doing their work with regards to adhering to laws of how and when they accept people into the country under these circumstances that they state within their statement?
There's the letter of the law and there's the spirit of the law. They were compliant with the letter of the law, and of course there was no exit stamp. But how do they explain that last week another plane load came to South Africa on the 28th of October, and those people didn't have stamps either? How did they enter the country? What explanation do they have for that? And also, the fact is, how would people know, coming from a traumatized zone, they come to South Africa, they're looking for any person who's being attacked, bombed, and killed, will do anything to get away to save themselves and their families. This is human nature. I'm even surprised that they got passports, to be honest. In all that bombing, I don't know how they managed to retain their passports. When they come to another country, on universal grounds and human rights, we allow them, because they come from a country that the whole world knows is suffering for genocide for 2 years. You give them asylum, you don't ask that kind of question, where you're going to stay, how long you're going to stay for. You give them the opportunity, you know, to make a decision once you bring them to the country. Then you can tell them the processes right now at the beginning. You don't make them wait 13 hours in a plane. I mean, how illogical is that? You bring them into the airport and say, okay, these are the options. Number one, you got no papers. You can stay in South Africa. We have laws. You can come on a temporary visa. You can stay on a visitor's visa for 90 days. You can seek asylum. Our country allows you that. That's what you should do. That's what should have been done. You know, and this is very, very disappointing to make people wait. I have no issue if they kept them in the airport building, you know, and address them. Even that doesn't take 13 hours. But to leave them on a plane, dehydrated and heat, that's totally unacceptable.
Do we know of the various destinations that some of the passengers were headed to? Were they all headed to South Africa? Because it seems as though I think about 14 of them have now taken their connecting flights.
I don't think they really knew where they were going, to be honest, you know, because the first plane load of people that we spoke to, that Nigel and others spoke to, didn't know where they were going. I'm not completely sure of these people. I haven't spoken to Nigel yet. He's been, you know, on the plane all the time. But some of them, the first aim was to get out of Gaza. You couldn't get out of Gaza. And once you got out of Gaza, you know, some had visas to go to other countries. I know some had visas to Indonesia, some to Canada, some to Australia, because their family members were there. So they were keen to get going to their countries where their family members were. Some people asked at the airport they want to fly to Egypt because their members are there. So they came from Gaza, flew around the world to go back in the same direction to be in Egypt. They just wanted to get out of Gaza. and they asked for, for assistance to pay for tickets. And we said, those who want to be reunited with family members, we will sponsor the tickets. We're not insisting that they must stay in South Africa. They must stay where it suits them, where the future is, where they must go. We are a temporary base, just to ease the pressure and the difficulty and the suffering, give them some humanitarian support, some counseling, some love, and then allow them to make their own decision. Of course, the best decision would be for those borders to be open, for Palestine to be free, to be granted its liberation, and all these refugees and all those from all over the world should be able to go back home.
And any communication with regards to the stance that Israel is taking in putting people on a plane, sending them off to destinations that they too aren't aware of? I mean, the situation certainly is volatile between Palestine as well as Israel, but do we know if there could be other planes that would be sending more people to South Africa in the future?
I'm sure they're doing that, on an ongoing basis. We just found out about these 2 planes. We didn't know about the first plane. Nigel Brank and Frank Stream found out after the refugees came to South Africa. They had 1 night or 2 night accommodation. Nobody knew they were here, how they came to the country. There was no knowledge. But because the first group came, and then they had relatives in the second group, and that's how we came to know that another plane was coming, and that because of the relatives telling us, we moved from here, we gone there, so many hours to this border, we take a plane from here, now we're in Kenya, now we're coming across. That kind of information we got because of the relatives on the ground. We don't know if other planes have been sent to other destinations in other parts of the world. We don't know. They've just come now. They barely managed to find the first lot last week, now from the second lot. And of course, there's not much communication. They don't have networks. They don't have phones that work. They don't even know where the family members are in most cases. So it's very difficult to say if any other planes have been taken out. But there's an active policy right now to empty Gaza, either to killing them, bombing them, starving them, whatever, and detaining them. And now it seems finally just put them in a plane, open the borders, and send them anywhere in the world.
So BMA has said that Palestinians are eligible for a 90-day visa exempt travel to South Africa, and they should be processed as per normal. Just talk to us with regards to the plans with medical checkups, legal aid that would be given to them to assist them with seeking asylum, as well as accommodation and food supplies that Gift of the Givers is planning to assist them with.
I don't want to say it's Gift of the Givers. A lot of South African individuals and organizations are working together. It's church groups. Nigel Bracken belongs to a church group. There's church groups, there's other organizations, there's individuals, there's business people, there's ordinary people. Many have come forward to offer accommodation, to offer money. Medical guys from all over, they actually, last week, some of my team members processed all those, medically checked those 178 refugees that came through. We have full medical teams. Islamic Medical Association has full teams. We have other organizations from other religious groups that are very well happy to see the patients. So the first part is to screen and see if there's any medical conditions, because, of course, for 2 years of war, they haven't been able to get any medical support. So that will be the first priority. And, of course, accommodation has been offered. As I'm speaking to you now, lots of calls are coming in for people offering accommodation, offering finance. They'll require hygiene items, they'll require clothes. Israel did not allow them to take any of their clothes, their medication, the hygiene items. They were sent with virtually nothing. And, of course, we'll make good. Lots of offers is coming for that already. And then, of course, they'll need counseling. They'll need support in terms of comfort, peace, ease, and safety. And then, of course, they have to make the decision. If they want asylum, they can't go into any other country. They have to stay here. If they want to go to their families, then they can't ask for asylum. They can ask for a plane ticket if they got a visa or a permit to go to that country. If they want to make a decision and they're not sure, they can stay for 90 days in South Africa as a visitor. If they want to study, then they have to make permission, get application for a special study permit, which normally has to be asked for before you enter South Africa. But in the same way as the waiver is being granted for coming to the country without an exit stamp, a waiver can be given while in the country for a study visa. And within the 90-day period, if you still haven't made up your mind, you can ask for extension for another 90-day period. And to be fair to Home Affairs, they've done that quite often for many Palestinians in this country. And of course, in that period of time, then you can decide the other option. Either you stay in the country or you're going somewhere else, but that's your choice.
So you mentioned that we don't know in the future if there would be more planes sent to South Africa with more Palestinians. Are you planning on engaging BMA and the Department of Home Affairs with regards to how differently to handle the situation should we find ourselves here again in the next few weeks?
I'm not keen for more planes to come to South Africa, to be quite honest and quite frank, because then we're assisting Israel's policy of ethnic cleansing. We shouldn't be allowing any other planes to come. No plane should be coming here. There should be another way. They should be closer to their own country. And, because this is the fair way opening the door to totally evacuating Palestine. The Palestinian Authority won't be pleased with this. Neither will the Palestinian people themselves. And I don't recommend or suggest or encourage more planes to come to South Africa.
Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman, thank you so much for your time and for your efforts with assisting those that have been stranded at the airport. Thank you for joining us this evening and giving us this update. Well, for